Well, of course, again, I was very young when we moved to Aunt May's. I was probably all of maybe 4 years old, and but I do remember my father, you know, living with us, and I think one of the earliest memories I had was my two brothers and me. My dad was an entertainer. He sang and he put on, you know, different shows and stuff like that for different organizations, and he was kind of a singing waiter, you know, and had a really great voice. So I think my earliest recall was when he was putting on, he was in some kind of a play at a church that we lived right next door to, called St. Stephen's down in Hazelwood. And I can remember looking through, I guess it was one of these little windows that shows, you know, the church has these little street windows, and I remember us three looking through and watching him perform. And you know, of course, it was, you know, when you have that kind of thing going on with a family member, especially a father, you know, you're real proud, and you just, you know, you're real excited about the fact that he's performing in front of a large audience of people. And so I think that was probably the earliest memory I have of my father at that age, you know. But I don't have a lot of memory of my father, unfortunately. It's because, I mean, it came in spurts, you know. When I moved to my Aunt May's, he would come up and see us, but he'd only spend a couple hours and then leave, you know. But we were always excited to see him because, he, like I said, he was a singer, he was a performer, he could tell us stories. And it wasn't just me and my brothers, but it was all my cousins. They all loved him because here comes Uncle Mike, you know, he's a great storyteller, and, you know, and he would sit and tell us all great stories about things that we just found exciting. And he just had that way of telling stories that kids just would relate to. And then he would sing, and he would sing in telling us a story. So he was a very interesting man in terms of creating memories for children, you know. Unfortunately, you know, he wasn't around as much as, you know, we would have liked to had him around, but I think probably he was, you know, he just was a type of man that probably just didn't have the same responsibilities as kind of tough. I think that I'm completely different than my father. 100%. You know, so, but I still loved him. You know, he was the type of person to create a memory, and as a child. I'm sorry, guy. I didn't think I was going to do this. Guess memories do come up. But anyway, that's it. I mean, as far as my dad goes, you know, he's just he's a man that you know, was my father, and I didn't have that much contact with him. Well, I think the thing is, as I told you, my father was a man who created a lot of wonderful memories, and I think, personally, I think my mother was in love with the whole surrounding. My father created, you know, a very wonderful kind of a lifestyle that he provided for her, and I think she was deeply in love with my father, and but my father, again, was the type of man that was not, he was not really a good guy. I mean, he really did things that he shouldn't have done, and you know, my mother just put up with everything she could for many, many years, and it's like anything else, you know, it does wear on you after a while, and her responsibility to her children was greater. So she knew at some point where this couldn't keep going, and so she made a decision, which I'm sure was very hard for her, to end it. and she was the one that ended it. So, but I think it shaped. I think it made my mother more cautious for the future.